I hate to say this, I really wanted to love State of Decay 2. I really did. I got my hands on it a little bit early, so I've been playing it for about a week now, and my pass with this series is a little weird. I hopped into the first one wanting to love it. It had a lot of kind of like underrated hype around it, and it never really clicked with me. It just didn't. I understood the concept, I appreciated it, and understood why some people enjoyed it, but it just never hooked me. I can say, thankfully, that after playing State of Decay 2, I totally get it now, and that gameplay loop it really hooks me. It's cool, and I give the game points for being different. It does something that not a lot of other games do, especially zombie games, and that's just the resource and community management. I think that's the best thing the game has going for it. But the problem is, it just seems like with every good thing the game has, it also has something that's frustrating or just not fun to kind of hold it back. So to me, as it stands right now, I understand State of Decay 2. I like it. I like the loop, but it's just an okay game. You know how this goes, of course. This is just my personal opinion, and I don't usually like ragging on games on this channel in particular, but I'm still just fascinated by it because I do love the concept here. The fact that you start a community and you grow that community of survivors. I think that's the coolest thing that the State of Decay games do have going for them, and I think that's why I would say they're worth at least checking out, maybe on sale or something like that, just because I like what they do. The game is basically more of a supply run, the video game, than a zombie killing game. That stuff comes second. What's really the core here is building up a base, establishing a base, and then building it up with different facilities that essentially make your life easier. You have to manage a bunch of resources like health and building supplies, medical supplies, food. Then you're going to need to worry about running water, electricity, consistently growing crops, and just keeping everybody happy and keeping morale up, because the people in your base complain so goddamn much. And it's kind of annoying sometimes, but it's all worth it just because it's fun to keep that going, because you have to keep all of your characters stocked and happy and well fed and ready to go, because you're going to need to rotate them. You can't bring them all out into the field all the time because they get beat up, they get infected, they get tired. So you have to leave one in bed, take another one out. And the best part about these games and what makes them challenging is that it's all permadeath. So all the characters are randomly generated, but you spend time with them, you get to use them and like them, but they can die, and then when they die forever. That's cool, and that almost does some of the coolest aspects of like something like The Walking Dead, the comic or the show, where these characters can just be wiped out in an instant. One stupid mistake on your part, maybe you're on a supply run and you crash your car in a ravine, and you're dead. The zombies will get you. And that's some of the best things the game has going for it, really, too. When I played the first one, I also was like, man, I wish this had co-op or some sort of multiplayer, because it just felt like it needed that. And this time it does. And I think it's pretty good. I had a couple connection issues, but overall, I'm into it. This tethering thing, the people were worried about the tethering where you're like too close, you can't go too far from the host. Doesn't matter. I didn't notice it at all. Andrew and I have been having a ton of fun playing it here and there, but it can be glitchy. And the game overall can be very glitchy. That's honestly one of my biggest complaints. And I don't usually complain about glitches unless they are frustrating and bad. And like a lot of these, like, they ruin a quest, or I get stuck in the environment, or I get a hard crash. It happens a lot, and it's almost frankly unacceptable. I get it's a lower budget game, but it's still just sucks, man. The combat and that stuff leaves a lot to be desired too. The sound design is top notch. The feedback is great, whether you're shooting a zombie or whacking a zombie in the face with like a stick. That stuff feels good, but it's ultimately just button mashy nonsense. You do unlock moves here and there, but ultimately it gets boring. It gets really boring. Couple that with the fact that the environments, I like that they're big, and I like that there are 3 of them. That's generous, and they're varied, but they're just generic and kind of annoying to navigate sometimes, and that's a bummer. Because, you know, like I said, that main loop. Plus, in the second game, what they did is they added more character progression, little bits of RPG elements where the more you do stuff with your character, the stronger they get, and then you unlock different little tiers that you can choose which way to go in, and then from there, they also have passive stuff that will affect your base camp and how well life can be improved for you guys. So there's that much more into sticking with a character, because you can rank them up and make them the leader, and all that can work against you when that character dies. And you spend hours trying to build that character up to be the best character, and then they eat shit and die. So I like that. I like that challenge. Even though some of the freaks aren't that challenging until later in the game when they start throwing more than one at you, it's cool. On PC, it runs better. The frame rate can be consistent, but even on an Xbox One X, the frame rate's pretty rough, and the game just doesn't look good in general. That's besides the point. I do think the sound design is good. I do think the little bits of ambient music is good. And ultimately, now, what I've really learned, now I really understand why people like these games. But at the end of the day, what I really wanted from it, a perfected version of the first game, it's not quite there because it's still rough in spots that I in terms of what I look for in games that I enjoy. I can't overlook all of it, But that main loop and the survivors and the base building and all of that, I enjoyed that enough. It compelled me to make a video. I don't usually make videos on here and talk about stuff if I completely hate it. And I found some aspects of State of Decay 2 really interesting. I love that stuff. Honestly, this sounds stupid, but State of Decay 3 could be the best fucking game ever if they fix all the issues with this game. And who knows, State of Decay, the original one, had some decent DLC. That was the word on the street, so they could do that this time around. Maybe the DLC will really improve things. I don't know, I'm spitballing, but you just gotta have to wait and see. But a lot of you guys have been asking me. I didn't get to talk about it too much on the podcast. The Game Ranks video we put out today, also on the Discord, the Because Video Games Discord. Shout out to you guys who came over there and said hi. A lot of you guys were asking about State of Decay, so that's how I'm feeling on it. It's just not there for me. However, I will say, if you are fucking loving this game, I am so happy for you. That's awesome. So with that, I do want to hear from you guys down in the comments, whether you think I'm being too hard on the game, or you get the criticism, or maybe you don't have a PC or an Xbox. Whoever you are, I want to know what you're thinking of this game, whether you have played it, you got it early on the Game Pass thing, or if you're just watching Twitch streamers play it, whatever. Let's talk. I will be down there talking to you guys. You know where else to find me by now. It's all linked in the description below. But as always, thank you guys so much for coming around and listening to me ramble about all this stuff. I can't thank you enough. But I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for watching. You can subscribe because video games.